Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. We are back. We took a short hiatus as we launched the new book, Today is the Day, Live It. I brought together 30 authors, including myself, so 31 of us came together to share about resiliency, courage, leadership, being motivated, stepping to the edge of our comfort zone, and finding ourselves in the center of the most incredible impact to make a difference in the world, because connection at its core is what we need as human beings. And I'm so happy to be sharing this episode with 3 incredible people that are talking about paying close attention, right? Because as I just said, connection is so important. So what if paying closer attention and asking one more question or simply staying connected could make all the difference for someone you love? Today's episode is about the conversations we often avoid and the ones we truly can't afford to. We're talking about mental health, suicide prevention, and why that word again, connection, is one of the most powerful protective factors that we have. I'm joined by Tom Peregrin, founder of Life is Long, along with Jess, Pepe, and Liz Menges from Ocean Partnership for Children. If you've ever wondered what to look for, how to help, or how to start what could be a difficult conversation, this episode is for you. And if you or someone you love is going through something and you know that they are in need of some help, there are so many organizations out there online for you to connect with. There are so many mental health associations, Ocean Partnership for Children here locally in New Jersey, as well as so many others. Support is out there if you need it. If you need it, please do not hesitate to ever reach out as well directly to me as a certified professional coach and someone who truly cares about helping people feel connected. I am here to support you as well or point you in the right direction. To learn more, go to todayisthedayliveit.com. You can email me at Jodi, Jodi, at todayisthedayliveit.com. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Today is the Day Live It, as well as subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast on our YouTube channel, and review and comment, like, and share. As I said, let's stay connected. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. I'm your host, Jodi Hope Grinwald, and as I say every single week, I interview the changemakers, the inspirers, and those who are disrupting the status quo in the best way possible. And I am so excited because I just don't have one guest today. I have 3, which is always such a gift. And I'm so thrilled to have all of you on. So really quick, I'm just going to give everybody's names, hopefully correctly. We were talking about this before we started. So we have Jess Pepe. She is the development coordinator for Ocean Partnership for Children. We have Liz Menges. Am I right?
Yep.
All right. She is the Chief Operating Officer for Ocean Partnership for Children, and Tom Peregrin, who is the founder of Life is Long. Did I get everybody right? Did I do good?
Yes.
You did. Yeah, perfect.
All right. Awesome. Well, welcome to all of you. We're going to talk about an interesting and important topic today. Before I do, I just want to make a couple of mentions here. I want to thank the listeners in over 135 countries who download and listen to these incredible changemakers share their stories. We know in some cases, we are helping people learn and grow. We're also in some cases giving information that could be life-changing and life-saving. So we appreciate the listeners for listening, and I appreciate the guests for sharing their vulnerability. And if you'd like to join us and be part of Today is the Day and you have a story to share, we want to hear it. So please let me know if you are a change maker making a difference in your corner of the world and beyond. And if you'd like to sponsor our podcast so that you can get your name out there in the doing good arena across the world, let me know that as well. Jodi at todayisthedayliveit.com. Okay, so now let's get into this important conversation. So Tom, you are the founder of Life is Long. I'd love for you to share with our listeners a little bit about Life is Long, please, and why you started the organization.
Absolutely. So I am 28 now, and I had the original idea for it back in my junior year of high school. I was in a DECA business class, and we were on a trip to Universal Orlando, and had like meetings all 4 days we were there, which slept through most of them, to be honest. But like the last speaker just said this quick line that really stuck with me. He said, "Everyone always says life is short, but the real answer is life is long. And the way I kind of took it, and he phrased it a little bit as in like, if you are battling with struggles with mental health or anything, like there is time. Like if you're struggling with something, we have 365 days a year. Like that's a long time. It's a lot of days you got to wake up and get out of bed. So that was the original where the idea came from. And then to tie it all into like the suicide prevention and things like that, I unfortunately lost my best friend the following year, my senior year of high school. We were friends from probably first or second grade all the way until he passed. So then to interlock the two with Life is Long and suicide prevention, just that, yes, it is the long time if you're not in a great headspace to wake up all those days, but also we have time to make our lives better, and there is opportunity in that. So with the t-shirt business, it's just kind of a reminder and like an inspiration, like to that you do have time.
Yeah, so I know you're wearing one of those shirts. For those who are
Mm-hmm.
listening via download, you cannot see it. So you'd have to go to the Today's the Day Changemaker YouTube channel to see the
Mm-hmm.
Life is Long shirt that Tom is wearing now. So you are, just to clarify for those who are listening, your organization, is it a nonprofit?
So it's not a nonprofit. But my best friend's favorite number throughout all Little League together, all of the sports we played, was always 17. So I've committed to 17% of all proceeds will go to nonprofit, which is where I partnered with Ocean Partnership for Children, as just a way to I want to give back, and especially in that 21 and under age range, specifically because my friend was 18 when he passed. So.
I know it's hard to talk about, but I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
ask you this because I feel like there are other friends out there right now that are with, they're hearing their friend talk about sadness and depression, and in some
Mm-hmm.
cases they may never think that somebody would take their life because they're in that space. And we're going to get to Liz and Jess to share what are some of the signs that are clinically that we should really watch out for. But I'm just asking you, was there anything
Mm-hmm.
that you saw or heard from your friend that kind of made you think for a second, wow, he's in a bad space, or did he not let on that he was in a bad space?
So he was super smart, one of the smartest kids that I knew, and also very artistic as well, which is my inspiration for wanting to do these hand tie-dyed. I want it to be art focused. So through his art, there were definitely signs that I, at that age, just didn't understand the magnitude of them, and really didn't have the knowledge to grasp really what was going on and how deep it was.
Yeah, and that isn't an expectation that anybody at that age should be
Mm-hmm.
anybody's psychologist or helping.
Yeah.
It's just watching for the signs. Liz, I know your background is in really understanding the signs and the symptoms and the things that people are experiencing when they're feeling that feeling of, I just another day is too long, as Tom says, because life is long. Can you share a little bit about, we'll get into how Ocean Partnership for Children helps everyone, but I'd like to share with everyone now just what should they be looking for in someone who may be really struggling?
Um, I think it can be challenging for family members and friends to recognize the signs of suicide, or someone may be contemplating suicide, right? And so it's difficult because I think as family members and friends and people in the community, you think you should know, but you don't always know. And so, Tom, you wouldn't know based on art, right? Sometimes art is
Mm-hmm.
just that. It's art. And it's sometimes thoughts that are expressed in a medium, but sometimes it's just a fantasy or creativity that's coming out in a medium. And so you don't always know. I do think some of the signs and symptoms that really are the most evident is when someone is experiencing anxiety and depression. And when those two things are co-occurring, they correlate with someone having suicidal thoughts. And so lots of times people will think, and parents, we have parents that will say this, my child is saying that they want to die, right? That's a sign of suicidal thoughts. But parents or loved ones, or friends will say, I think they're doing it for attention. Biggest mistake that anyone can make is thinking someone is talking about death and dying and it's for attention. It's not. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily for, look at me. It's
Yeah.
more, I need help. And this is
Yeah.
the way I'm expressing it, right? And so, I think that can be mistaken sometimes, this cry for help. It really is about, I need help. And so, it's some of the other signs, feeling like you're a burden to your loved ones, right? That you, are taxing them with your feelings, with your depression, with your anxiety, high risk behaviors that normally weren't there before. So that you're kind of dabbling a little bit in considering, taking your own life. It's super important to be on the lookout for those types of things. Bullying that happens, in schools, can sometimes lead to someone thinking about suicide. Recent breakups, feeling like that's the end of the world and we're not going to get past it. Those are all things, those are all like signs, symptoms that people can be on the lookout for. There is, also like something that's so important is being very, very aware of access to lethal means. We don't consider it when, we have people in our home that may be having anxiety and depression, and you're not in their heads, so you don't know whether they're thinking it or not thinking it. And it's difficult sometimes for people to say the word suicide, to talk about suicide, which we are huge advocates for just saying it, talking about it, normalizing the discussion. But lethal means is a super important discussion that should be happening more frequently, and it doesn't. And so lots of times people think somebody tried to take their lives, by using pills, and so they overdosed, right, on pills. And let me just lock up the medication because that's their thought. They're going to overdose on medication. Not the case. Lethal means includes, guns, ropes, knives, you name it. And truly, the number one lethal mean, in suicide is guns, right? And so in the state of New Jersey, we have pretty strict, gun control laws, but it's still important for us to recognize if someone is feeling, depressed and has had suicidal thoughts, that we really need to lock up all lethal means, not just the one specific one that they might have been thinking of. I probably talked a lot. I apologize.
No, these so important. Everything is so important. And I know, Jess, was there something you were going to say when Liz was talking? I know that you were nodding, and I thought I heard you almost say
Oh,
something.
yes. The mention about like caregivers, parents, families, they're like, oh, that's just for attention, right? Like that has always been my pet peeve, that for attention has gotten such a negative connotation when yes, they're asking for attention because they need it right now, right? Like, and I've always equated it to, we were on a boat when I was younger and my sister fell off the boat and my dad just kept driving and she wasn't just bobbing along, like she was trying to get someone's attention. She needed help.
Yeah.
And like cries for attention, like that's exactly what it is. It's, I need something right now. And instead of just like kind of like putting it to a side, like, no, we need to give that person attention. Something's missing and they need help right now. And we kind of need to change that narrative almost.
Yeah. One of my pet peeves is in society now, it's like so easy to joke with friends, like, oh, like to make a joke about it. And people think it's such a minor thing, but it really isn't, like to even mention it, really.
Yeah, people will just come out, you're saying, I'll just kill myself. Like,
Yeah.
or I'll just whatever,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like in an offshoot comment. And
Mhm.
I think we're all might be guilty of it at times as a offshoot comment, not really realizing what the magnitude of it is. However, I do want to bring this up. So a lot of times kids and adults will be afraid during any kind of therapy to share that they have suicide ideation or anything like that because they're afraid they'll be put in a hospital or they'll be taken away from their parents, or the parents afraid they'll be taken away, if they're talking to a therapist, that they're automatically going to be, shot into a hospital without any opportunity to have any freedom. Liz, can you share a little bit about what happens when someone says, I feel like I don't want to live anymore? Like what is kind of the strategy from there?
So I can share from Ocean Partnership for Children what we do. And we recently launched all our care managers screening for suicide with every youth that we serve. So just to share, historically, we have a tool that we use called the Strength and Needs Assessment. And there's a question on there about suicide that we had care managers asking youth and family if your child is experiencing suicidal thoughts, and that's where we left it. And we really thought we needed to dive a little deeper, and so we spent a year training all staff on lethal means and on the Columbia, which is a suicide screening tool that's non-clinical. And we actually developed an app internally where each care manager will fill this screening, will do the screening with the child, and then they will be given immediate steps to take based on the rating that comes out so that they have the tools in hand on what's next. And so if someone is having some vague suicidal ideation plan, really the next step is to develop a safety plan with the youth and the family around what are we going to do? And that's very individualized depending on who the youth is. If it is if there's really high risk and there's access to lethal means, that's when we have to be the most concerned. And we may at that point in time ask that the family take the child to screening at the hospital. But the goal of doing the screenings in the home is to avoid sending kids unnecessarily to the hospital, because lots of times they'll wind up there, they're sitting, in the emergency room waiting to get screened. And then by the time they get screened, they're not feeling suicidal anymore. And because statistically, what is seen is it's the first 20 minutes of having a thought of wanting to kill yourself that is the most dangerous. And so if you can de-escalate someone, talk them through it within that first 20 minutes, the chances of them surviving are much greater. And that feeling will not necessarily completely dissipate, but enough so that we can work on developing a safety plan and taking next steps. The goal really is to provide supportive counseling in those moments when someone is really feeling very down and depressed and sad. And it's scary, right? It is very, very scary. It's scary for friends and families, folks in the community. It's scary for our care managers. And as a clinician, you're always concerned, like you are always concerned about your clients that are experiencing suicidal thoughts. So, but it's important to know too, not every person that is experiencing a suicidal thought has to be hospitalized. That's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
You have any statistics? Oh, so sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
I just wanted to build on that with my friend's story. There was a lot of like police intervention that happened in his story, but not something like Ocean Partnership for Children, with what I would say would be like more helpful resources, unfortunately.
So did he have multiple suicide attempts?
I believe so.
It's so hard to hear when you hear that happen, and knowing that somebody's in such a difficult space and not able to see the light. In a world where trust drives decisions and relationships matter more than transactions, disconnection is something businesses simply cannot afford. I'm Jodi Hope Grinwald, a leadership and connection strategist, and my work is different because I don't offer just a single framework or surface level fix. I bring an entire ecosystem built on connection with me. I work across leadership, career transition teams, and client relationships, helping organizations rebuild trust where it may be strained and design their work so disconnection doesn't happen in the first place. Because when one link is off, it affects everything, and sustainable growth depends on keeping those connections strong. To learn more or inquire about me speaking at any of your events, reach out to me at Jodi, Jodi, at todayisthedayliveit.com.
I want to mention too, like something that is so important that sometimes we neglect or overlook, especially in this day and age, and that is monitoring our children's social media, monitoring who they are speaking to. I cannot tell you how many kids have shared that they've been on Discord, which is a platform that they can have friendships and things like that. They talk about gaming and other things. But I've had a number of kids share being part of groups of that with other youth that engage in self-injurious behavior. And there's this encouraging of self-injurious behavior. They've been on social media and they've been encouraged to kill themselves. It's super important to monitor folks' social media. We've also had times where kids have put out there on their social media that they wanted to die. And luckily, folks have seen it, and then we've been able to get help to that kid. But it's dangerous out there. People just encouraging other people to kill themselves is horrific.
So it's called Discord?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't know about it, so I had no idea. Wow. Yeah.
You got to stay up with the times as we're getting older. You got to stay connected.
Now I know. I guess I really do, and I have a nine-year-old stepdaughter, so I absolutely need to stay connected here. You monitor the social media. My kids are older now, so they're in their 20s. One's almost 30, and so it's a different world. And I think that's the one thing parents who are busy and who have full-time careers and have a lot of trust in their children, because we trust our children, right? We need to trust our children. We also don't think that they would do certain things, but all of us have done things, right? We didn't always tell our parents every single thing we've done. And so you may think your son or daughter is not the child who would ever go on Discord. My child would never, ever download that. And there's an old movie that changed my life when I was 13. It was called Not My Kid. It's very old. It's an 80s movie. I push it hard because it's about drugs and alcohol, and I made my kids listen to it. But the truth is, a lot of parents have this Not My Kid mentality and don't think that they would do those kinds of things. I think everybody should just anticipate that anything is possible. Am I wrong on that, right?
100%. 100%.
You bring up a good point, though. What are the protective factors, to help mitigate a youth or family member feeling suicidal? And connection is a big protective factor. So as a parent, if you are involved, it's so helpful. If a youth has a mentor in the community that they look up to, it's super helpful. Feeling connected to peers, feeling kindness and loved and involved, and desired in some fashion. Those are all protective factors for kids. The connection is super important. And again, monitoring what your kids are doing on social media, monitoring what Google searches they are engaged in, or whatever platform they might be using as an engine to check things out. It's important, because where kids get ideas is through searches, things like that, right? And talking about suicide, big piece. Talking about suicide does not influence someone feeling suicidal. It really does not. It actually destigmatizes it and makes it okay to talk about when someone's having thoughts.
Yeah. I think as a friend too, if you have someone that's posting on social media like that and if you haven't seen him in a while, just like reach out, like, oh, I haven't heard from him in a few weeks, like something might be off. Like, it's so easy now to just send a text message and check in on
Yeah.
somebody. And like you said, Liz, about like just talking about it, even through the t-shirts, like the amount of stories I've heard already, and it seems like everybody knows somebody, or everybody like through a pathway has experience with this, and it's unfortunate. But
Has no age limit in
mhm.
age at all. It runs
Yeah.
all the generations. And that's the, it's scary. But the one thing I want to go back to that, Liz, you said was connection. And my entire platform is connection, because we don't realize how important that word is. We throw it away. When you say, oh, I forgot, I really need to connect with so and so, we just kind of throw that away. We don't realize that so and so could have used that phone call just for you to say hello and is having a bad day. You hold the door open at a coffee shop, or you smile at someone. Connection is everything for all of us. We connect to the car we buy. I mean, as silly as that, to the things we wear, to the jobs we have, and the reason why we have them. And so kids are still learning how to create those strong bonds. And when they are bullied, and there's so much of that, especially like you said with social media, how do they find out the best ways to connect, right? When they're feeling like it's not cool to do this, or it's not, I don't want to be looked at and, but, or like this because everybody else hates it, and those kinds of things. And it's hard to be the standout and not follow. And I think, to have on Discord something related to, let's all commit suicide. It's just blows, someone's minds. So thank God that Ocean Partnership for Children is there. Can you share briefly, Jessica, a little bit about the programming that Ocean Partnership for Children has for the community?
Yeah, of course. So our major program is care management. So that's youth up until the age of 21 who are experiencing some kind of crisis or some kind of like change in their life. Maybe they're not feeling themselves. Maybe the parents have noticed a shift in, their school or their moods. We work with all of these kids. They get referred to us, and we kind of build a team around them. So when we're talking about that connection and having a caring adult, right, they get assigned a care manager who's their care manager. That's the person that's calling every week to check in. That's the person running these meetings to create an individualized plan for them. That's the person advocating for them in school. That's their person. And then that care manager creates a team and builds people around them. So whether it's family members that they want at the table to create this plan, or the therapist, the mentor, the softball coach, whoever it is, and we put services in based on those individual needs. A lot of our kids, and I apologize, I don't have the statistic in front of me, a majority of our kids have some kind of suicide risk, whether they had a history of ideation or a serious attempt. But a lot of them have carried that with them. So when we're creating these plans, we're also creating family crisis safety plans. So let's look at that major crisis, whatever it might be, and put a plan in place. And all of those plans and services that we put in can change at the drop of a hat. If something's not working, okay, let's put something else in. Or we have a new behavior, let's focus on that and put maybe a different service in that might be needed. And then that care management services, they could be anywhere from a few months to a few years. So again, even the services that we're putting in are very individualized based on length and need. And then on top of that, we also run a series of youth empowerment program groups. So again, building on that connection. So we've noticed over the years that, hey, this youth really could benefit from X, Y, and Z. We couldn't find it in the community. So we went ahead and created it. So it's been 7 years in the running, and we're now running 6 or 7 groups year round to just kind of fit the needs of these kids in these different age groups.
Jess, I do have the number. So just for reference, right? In the United States, 49,000 people died of suicide in 2023. That's a lot of lives that we've lost by suicide. Mm-hmm. In Ocean County, we are currently serving just over 1,100 youth. Out of the 1,100, we have over 350 kids that are either actively suicidal or have a history of suicidal ideation. that is a lot of kids that are thinking about suicide or have thought about suicide. So when you say, Jodi, like, oh, not people think, oh, not my child. No, yes, it really is. It's so prevalent. And it's sad. It can be anyone's child, unfortunately. And we really are here to help at Ocean Partnership for Children. Tom, his organization, Life is Long, raising awareness is so important. Again, just talking about suicide is really very important.
Yeah. We do also do like community outreach. So every September we do we run a Dare to Care event outside of our office because we're right next to a local high school, and the students leave during their lunch and they go to downtown area. So we host a table so that we can engage with those students. And it's daring to care, whether it's about your own mental health or your friend's mental health. And it's really bringing that suicide awareness directly to the students. And Tom was awesome and participated this past September with us. So he was also engaging with the students, donating t-shirts to give out to the students, and just a way to not only build connection with them, but just having very natural conversations with them. And again, like Tom said, you don't realize how many kids walking by, if they're not affected by it, that they have some kind of connection, whether like a family member or a friend or a story to share.
Yeah. I mean, you just said 350 kids. That's my entire graduating class from high school. Like, be like wiping an entire grade just through self-harm.
And those are only the kids that are enrolled with us.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's not all the kids in the county. That is just the ones that know about our services and are working with us, which are free, by the way, out there to everyone. We do not charge because when kids are in need, like finances, insurance, all of that should not be a barrier. So our services are free. But yeah, like I said, those are just the kids that have been like a local school district lost 3 kids to suicide in the last 2 years, I want to say. And all 3 of those kids had never been enrolled in our services before, which is just, it's a tough pill to swallow. It'd be like, how many more kids are out there in our county that don't know we exist, don't know how to access our services? Because if we were involved, maybe the outcome could have been different.
Looking for technology that doesn't just keep up, but sets the pace? Meet Pam 10, a global technology services leader with 6 locations across the US, Canada, and India. From world-class talent and managed services to digital transformation and AI-driven solutions, Pam 10 helps businesses scale faster, smarter, and stronger. And here's what sets them apart. Social impact isn't an add-on. It's embedded in their mission and culture. Pam 10, technology with purpose. Visit pam10.com to learn more. Before I forget, just a few things I wanted to make mention here. Tom, how do people find you and the t-shirts? Because that's important.
Yep. So currently, it's all through Instagram mostly. It's at Life is Long So on Instagram. And that so part is actually my favorite part of the brand. I actually found it on accident, but it's Life is Long, and it's so take a hike, so get connected, so go outside. Like, it's the motivation part to what I'm doing that excites me, and I hope excites everyone else about the t-shirts as well.
So just so I want to clarify this with the listeners, because I love this part. I know that Liz and Jess, when we talked, we all love this part of what you're doing. It's life is long, so do something positive with it, right?
Yeah,
create
exactly.
a change in your life that's going to help you to stay connected, right? And so I know eventually your goal is to help people customize. It's not here yet, but customize the so on there. So but you fill in the blank, right? So life is long.
Exactly.
So take a hike, go look at the bay, go do some yoga, whatever it's going to be, is, being able to provide people with the resources or suggestions, because some people are like, what do I do? I'm depressed. I don't feel good. They feel stuck in that moment. And that's when things start to come into their minds. So, Tom, what, just seeing yourself now, if you were to have just a dream, where would you like this to grow and go to?
Um, ooh, I as big as it can get. I mean, I would love if I could turn this into my full time. I mean, sustainable life. I would love that because the feeling I've gotten from just doing this, and it's small right now. Don't get me wrong, but the feeling from that it's unmatched. I mean, being involved with Ocean Partnership and the conversations I've had, it, I'm sure everyone here can agree when you feel like you've made an impact with, especially a kid or anybody for that instance. I mean, there's really no better feeling, in my opinion.
Agreed. I totally agree. Jess, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Don't
Oh
you know I
no.
do this. You know I do this. I do this to you, right? And she's so good. And
Do
but
you want to moderate? Okay.
and yeah, exactly. I literally asked her to moderate at the forum, we'll say last year, and it was just, and you did it so incredible. So you can add that now to your resume as
Yeah, yeah.
forced moderator, and it worked out amazingly. But I think we also, the kids are important. We need to protect them. We need to be there for them. But as adults, right, we also have to set the example.
Mhm.
And we have, and I know that you've talked about a little bit of burnout that you had experienced at one
Oh
point
yeah.
and how you took care of yourself. And I hope you don't feel like I'm putting you on the spot, but I feel like just your story could save someone. And especially because you're a mom.
Hmm.
So, right, we're setting the examples as parents, but we hit the wall
Yeah.
sometimes. Why
Yeah.
don't you share a little bit about that if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I'll discuss the burnout story. So when I was younger and I first started out as a care manager at this agency, bright-eyed, bushy-tail, ready to take on the world and do everything that I possibly can. I was young, I was a little bit naive, and I took too much on. If a youth was unsuccessful with something or a family was unsuccessful with, setting up a service, like I would take it very personally and I would be working 60 hours because I never wanted to say no to a youth in need or can you come visit? Yeah, I'll be there. And I eventually burnt out hard and I had to take 6 weeks off of work to focus on me and work on professional boundaries and work on, my own mental health, my own anxiety and depression at the time that was then impacting my work and my personal life. But I had to take that very hard break, that very hard look in the mirror, and be like, if you can't get yourself together, you're not going to help anyone. Um, and yeah, so I was in an intensive outpatient program, did individual group therapy, continued to work with a therapist after that, and came back to work, after those 6 weeks, and was very, very forthcoming with my then supervisor, who was super supportive. So that's very important in this field, right? Like again, we go back to connection, having a strong relationship with your supervisor, with your management team, with the people that you work with in this field specifically. And 13 years later, I'm still here, doing my thing. I haven't had to take a leave after that, but as the adult in the room, I had to say, like, I need help too. So then, like, moving on, like my life, like then becoming a mom, struggling with my son who was having some anger outbursts when my daughter was born, and saying, like, I need help again. And my husband and I actually contacted for services and we worked with a nurturing parent, who is basically worked with us for like 6 or 8 weeks on like some parenting skills on like, and not saying that we were doing a horrible job, but what we were doing clearly wasn't working and we needed to support my son at the time in a different way. And just being humble in your journey. You don't know it all. I went to school for psychology. I had a master's in psych counseling. I wasn't an expert in parenting. I'm not an expert in the field. I need help. And I think every adult, every parent needs to recognize that you can't do it all by yourself. You have to build a team around you, take a step back and say, someone help me. Something's not going right now.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that because I feel like even I'm a coach, I have a therapist. And people are afraid to share that because like you're supposed to be the expert, so you're
Right.
supposed to know everything and you're not supposed to be experiencing the things that your clients experience. And that's so untrue. And
Yeah.
that's not how it works. So
And
Liz,
humans are
yeah,
social. I'm sorry, but just one more thing. Humans are social beings. like evolutionary speaking, we're not meant to do any of this by ourselves. We're meant to do it in a community. And whether that community is your neighbors on your block or a community that you make yourself on like a text group or something, or finding a group on Facebook for like parents or adults or someone with like similar interests, like we're social beings and we need to kind of follow that.
100%. Liz, do you want to share anything on that?
I appreciate both Jess and Tom sharing their stories, because again, there can be stigmas that are attached to seeking help when help is needed. And, that is just, if you broke an arm, you would go to the doctor, right? You would go. And so if you're feeling down, go get help. There's professionals out there that can definitely help. And taking the time that you need to take care of yourself is paramount. And for sure, at our organization, we promote a life-work balance. And Jess is speaking exactly to that life-work balance. And if you've got to take time, you got to take time. That's okay. We're going to be here when you get back. We're going to be supporting you. And there's no judgment. So I love that you shared that, Jess.
Yeah, and just so you know, my supervisor did not know I was working 60 hours a week. That was not promoted, and that is not promoted by OPC. I would go home and like, you're working with these high-risk kids and you're ruminating, making sure they're okay. So I'd be sitting there on my laptop, like, what are more resources I could find for her? But yeah, OPC does not endorse 60-hour work weeks.
Yeah, the field is definitely, the mental health field and mental health professionals definitely experience vicarious trauma and burnout. It truly is a underrated field, an underpaid field. It's just very, very sad that it's like that, but there is a lot of burnout. So recognizing that you need to take care of yourself when you are so available for other people, you need to replenish your energies because it's constantly going out. You know, you're constantly giving. And so I think that's important to recognize. I do want to add too, I don't want to forget to add this. If anyone is ever feeling suicidal, 988, it's 988. It's on my water bottle. I don't think you can see my water bottle.
You can.
Yep.
Yeah.
988. That's all you gotta do. That's where you gotta call.
What's the text connect one? Because there's that, if someone's not comfortable speaking on the phone and wants to text with a crisis counselor, I think you can text the word home to 741-741. A lot of, especially teens, they're more comfortable texting, and it's still giving them that opportunity to connect, talk, give them time to kind of de-escalate in that moment.
As you said, I didn't know, but that first 20 minutes, right? That first 20 minutes is the most important. So pick up your phone. Is that just for teens or for anyone?
Anyone.
That's very important. Anyone who's feeling that, it's 988 or text the word home to 741-741. Is that right?
Yeah, nice memory. Yeah.
Okay. Listen, it's important. This is important.
That was good.
So, and what I love about this story and why I wanted to bring it to the listeners is here you have someone like Tom who lost someone, who created something in the memory of this person, right? By the 17 and the 17% and giving back, right? And to share his story. And we wound up here because of connection, right? That's like, we keep bringing that word back. I'll say it a million times if I need to, but that's what happened. And that's how we got here. And now if you're listening and you're in this space where, without us knowing you, and, you can, or if you know someone who's in this space, to share this conversation. That's the most important thing. Share this conversation with people, parents, let their children know that this is out there. A heartfelt thank you to our Today is the Day Live It book launch supporter sponsors who truly believe in the importance of connection and sharing their journeys to help others along theirs. Hearts of Gold, Inc., Mohan Group, LLC, and Life Reinvention Now with Charlene Gorzella. To all of our sponsors, thank you for believing that connection is what drives real impact and for helping us bring these changemaker stories to life. To learn more, go to todayisthedayliveit.com-live it. The other thing I do need to, it came to me, Liz, while you were talking before, and it's important. I know several people who are kind of come from the old school of, we don't do therapy in this family, right? We don't do that. I'm sure you've heard this. We don't do therapy in this family. This is our business. We're not telling anybody. This has to stay here. There's a stigma. There's judgment. That word judgment, it stuns us. It keeps us, we think it keeps us safe in certain circumstances, but if anything, if we worry so much about what other people do and judge, we are not helping ourselves. So what do you say to the parents, the families, the people who feel like I'm ashamed about therapy?
So I'm going to take this like from a clinical lens, right? When I meet someone who's a little bit resistant to therapy, but they're engaging in conversation with me, great. If I ever start doing anything that feels like therapy, let me know, I'll stop. Though I know we're going to get there. We will get there. And sometimes it's just creating a safe space. Not everything has to be a clinical therapy session, right? It's sometimes it's just a conversation where you are creating a safe space for somebody. I will share this. I cannot tell you how many clinicians that I know that it's been a calling. People just come to us. They find us. They'll find us in the supermarket. It doesn't matter where we're at. It's like you have a beacon without saying you have a beacon. People will find you and they will come and share their story. And you just have to listen. Really, that's it. That you have to listen, create a safe space. There's been tons of times where I've engaged with different people that have been resistant to counseling, and that's okay. It doesn't have to feel like what you think counseling might feel like. Let's just talk, and we'll get there. So I think just talking is okay. Keeping secrets. Keeping family secrets, right? Because as clinicians, we keep secrets all day long. We're not telling people other people's business, but keeping family secrets is never a good idea because it's a secret for a reason, right? And that's not good. So being able to share your story with someone that can help you process whatever feelings you might be having is very, very important. And it doesn't have to be a clinician. It can be you're telling a friend, you're talking to a friend, you're talking to just someone you have a connection with. It's okay.
Thank you, Liz.
But by the way, Jodi, let me point this out too. The highest population that has this suicide plaguing them is the elder population, right? And so it's older folks that definitely are committing suicide, having suicidal thoughts. And so that is likely the generation that is a little more resistant, because in today's society, I mean, I have seen just as time has passed, people do feel a little more comfortable telling their story, putting it out there and connecting. But for sure, it's that older population that is experiencing it in greater numbers.
Tom, were you going to say something?
Yeah, just to add to that, like with the Instagram account, like I'm not a professional, but my DMs are always open. If somebody needs to connect after hearing this story, just to talk or anything, always here to help.
I was going to do the same thing. All right. You're amazing, Tom. You're amazing.
Yeah.
We love that. We love that. And that's that you don't have to. I love that. Thanks, Jess, with the hearts. If you're watching the YouTube channel, you're seeing hearts all over the place over here. If not, please go to the YouTube channel so you can see all of us doing that. But Tom, I think it's incredible what you're doing and opening up yourself. And I think if more people hear that from, your age group, that you can open up yourself to listening, right? And non-judgment listening, not something we're brought up all learning, right? Something we have to learn how to practice. And it's tough, non-judgmental listening. All of us, right? We're kind of like, we grow into judgment. I wish we never actually that part never came. We need it for certain things, but there's things if we could just listen, sometimes it's better. Tom, tell us what, as we end the podcast, what else should we know? How, and again, please say the Instagram account.
Yep. So the Instagram account is at Life is Long So. Right now we've got one design out there. The back of the shirts say "So Stay Beautiful." Another part of my friend's story. He did the morning announcements every day, and that was his sign off every morning. So that's kind of just another way to honor him as well. And then with every shirt, you get a personalized, handwritten little note from me that just kind of gives you some motivation. Life is long. You have time to figure it out and time to connect and everything like that. So at Life is Long So on Instagram.
Keep that heart, that beautiful heart. Let me tell you more that it's beautiful what you're doing. And we're also grateful you're here doing all of that work in honor of your friend. We're sorry for his loss, very much so. But I do believe the best way to keep people's memories alive are to do things like that and helping other people by providing a percentage to Ocean Partnership for Children.
Yeah.
Liz, any last things you want to share before we end this episode?
Sure. Let me share the number for Perform Care. So if there are any parents or caregivers in the state of New Jersey that feel like their child needs help, Perform Care would be the number to call to access something like us, because we're in each county. So Ocean Partnership for Children is specific to Ocean County, but every county has a care management organization like us. And Perform Care's number is 1-877-652-7624. So again, it's 1-877-652-7624. That is how you can access our service. And I firmly believe if this podcast has come upon somebody, you're listening to it, or you're watching it, it was meant to come to you for a reason. The universe has delivered it to you. So definitely do something with it, with the information, whatever you took away from here, please do something with it.
Better myself. I appreciate that. That's very, very true. Jess, what about you? What would you like to share?
I was gonna say, what was the
question?
Yeah, just folks anywhere can follow us on social media. Our social media resource specialist is phenomenal with content. She'll put statistics, resources, 1-800 numbers. So that's just an extra way to connect and know, for folks local to know what's going on, and to folks anywhere else, just getting some free resources and connecting with people in the same kind of realm.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you, Jessica Pepe, Liz Menges, and Tom Peregrin, for being part of this episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. We want to make sure that everybody stays and is mentally healthy and safe. And that's very, very important. And there's so many resources out there. You do not need to feel alone. And if you do feel alone, please reach out. And before I say what I say at the end of every single podcast, I want to remind everybody that Today's the Day Live It book is about to go live. We're so excited that the book is launching with 31 Changemaker voices. It's the story of how I became a podcast host and a certified professional coach, but more importantly, it's all about connection. It's about courage. It's about sitting at the edge of your comfort zone and really finding your way in the center of incredible impact. So I hope that you will find our book, which will be everywhere and all over starting at the end of January. And thank you again to everyone who's been part of this episode. And today's the day. You cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So what steps, small or large, are you going to take today to get yourself closer to your goals? Have a great week, everyone. Bye.